Hello and welcome to another episode of the Agency Leadership Podcast. I'm Chip Griffin.
And I'm Gini Dietrich.
And Ginny, I think I want to subscribe to your wisdom. I don't want to, pay you a retainer or anything like that. I want to subscribe.
Okay, sure. $1 million a week.
$1 million a week. I don't
Yes.
know. I mean, even
You'll
for
be
you,
fine.
that might be a little bit much.
It'll be worth it, I promise. I promise. I'll give you some benchmarks. It'll be worth it.
Some benchmarks. Oh, well, I mean, as long as there are some benchmarks.
Yes.
That's really, you give me some pretty charts to show that
Absolutely.
you're achieving
Yes.
those benchmarks,
Yes,
I assume.
absolutely I will. Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that should solve it. That's good for me if it's good for you. And so, let's do it.
Amazing. Yay. That was easy.
Yay.
Now I don't
We are
have to
going
work
to talk
anymore.
about pricing today. We're going to talk about how you charge for your services. And it seems like we've talked about this a lot, but now we have a brilliant new idea being foisted upon us from holding company land,
Brilliant is sarcastic, by the way.
where all of the ideas come from. I mean, I
Holding
think
company land?
every good idea and innovation in the agency world has
Mm.
come from a holding company, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
I think you're right. Yep. Yes.
And it's always very original thinking that we can expect from the holding companies.
Yes.
So that's what we have to discuss today. We have the proclamation from none other than S4 Capital. S4 Capital, for those of you who don't know, is, I think, didn't they originally describe themselves as like the non-holding company, holding company or something like that?
They did. Yes.
They tried to pretend
They did.
that they are not really a holding company.
Mm-hmm.
They're still a holding company, folks.
Yes.
And so what we're being told is that we should move away from the billable hour to a subscription model. Now, this wild innovation is something that has never been considered before, so I'm glad they've brought this to the table. Certainly, we've never heard of retainers in the agency world.
Never. Mm-mm. Nope.
So this must be different than a retainer, correct?
Nope.
No.
I mean, when I dug into it, it's essentially a retainer. Essentially.
So the brand new innovative idea from holding company land is that we should have retainers and not billable hours.
I think the difference that they're trying to expand upon is that it's renewable every year, so you don't have contracts. It's the same amount every month, retainer. And there was one other piece. Hang on, I wrote it down. 1-year terms, it renews every month. It's not a fixed checklist. So eventually you get more output over time, especially if you're allowed to use AI. And it allows you to absorb costs. So instead of you doing a pass through on expenses, it just absorbs it into that, and you still pass it through, but it absorbs it instead of doing it one-off, because procurement doesn't like variable pass-through costs. So those were the big things in the subscription model versus the hourly model.
Gosh, I mean, I really hate to break it to them, but that's how I've run every one of my agency businesses for a quarter of a century.
For years, yeah. Yes.
And I mean, I consider myself a relatively innovative guy, but I don't claim to have invented that. So I'm not going to sue them for doing this,
right?
Because I came up with it first. I certainly didn't, but I think if they did a little bit of research, they would find this is actually a pretty common way to do business if you are not a holding company.
Correct. Yes.
I think this is one of those circumstances where the holding companies have got their blinders on. They drink their own Kool-Aid. They focus only on the way that they do things. And yes, holding companies do a lot of dumb stuff, particularly on the advertising side. They like to use billable hours. They like to do pass-through expenses with dramatic markups. They like to take kickbacks from publishers and websites in order to place advertising there.
Mm-hmm.
They do all sorts of stuff that I think is a really bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess maybe we should be encouraged by the fact that they're going to act in a way that's a little bit more normal. I don't think it's going to help them. I think all of the struggling that we've seen holding companies go through in recent years is only going to continue because the holding company model is a bad model. It is a broken model.
Yeah.
And you can only put so much makeup on it and try to make it look good. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, I read it and my first instinct was, I think I even said to you, oh, so it's a retainer. And then I dug deeper and I read the comments and I read the article and like I dug deeper and I was like, yeah, it's not anything that, to your point, that those of us who've been running agencies for years, granted, not gigantic ones, but those of us who've been doing it, that's how I do it. I have annual contracts that renew unless you send me a letter saying we're done. We have a monthly retainer. We have there is work that compounds over time because we get smarter about your business. And yeah, we're using AI for certain things. And there is some heavy lifting up front to get things started. So yeah, it compounds over time. Like all of those things are true. It's called a retainer.
Yeah. And look, I mean, I would have more respect if they said, look, in order to meet where the clients are at in today's environment, we're simply going to rename retainers as subscriptions. I could respect that. And there is a case to be made that for a swath of clients, at least, they are more receptive to the word subscription than the word retainer.
Especially
so if that's what this was, that would be fine. But to pretend that it is a brand new way of doing things is just laughable.
Yeah.
Now, I do think in reading the Digiday piece that there is an interesting tangent that is not fully encapsulated in this thinking, but it opens a door that I think is worth discussing and is worth thinking about for agency owners, agency leaders at every level. We're talking holding companies or a solo shop, and that is how you price around AI.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there is currently a strong mindset that if you can do it with AI, this is from the client side, that if you can do it with AI, it ought to be cheaper. There's a strong feeling from the agency side that if we do it with AI, we should still charge the exact same amount because it's the value that we're creating. As usual, I think the truth lies somewhere in the middle.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I think one of the real challenges, and it's highlighted in the Digiday piece, is that we only know what AI costs us today.
Correct.
And so we need to be really careful as we're thinking about pricing. We need to keep a close eye on it. Because as I've said before on this show and elsewhere, I think it is likely that the cost of AI will go up over time. Mm-hmm. That we're right now we are in this adoption phase where typically things are underpriced to get people hooked essentially on it. And so we've all seen what we can do with AI. But as AI becomes more and more of a labor replacement, the vendors understand that the value that they're creating for you is going up.
Yep.
And so just as you want to charge your clients more because you're providing more value, they want to charge you more because they're providing you more value.
Yep.
On top of that, the cost of actually doing all of this continues to go up. And yes, they're becoming more efficient in some of the models and that sort of thing so that they can balance the quality and the cost. But nevertheless, it's likely that over time, the cost is going to continue to rise. So if they're going to have a smaller margin, they're going to make up for it by fixing that margin by charging you more. Yep. So regardless of how you get there, you are going to be paying more for AI in 5 years than you are today.
Absolutely.
So you do need to be thinking about how you are structuring AI. And in particular, the Digiday piece put out there the thought of, are you transparent about what the AI costs are, or do you just consider that part of your cost of doing business? And I think there is a lot of room for meaty conversations in the coming months and years trying to figure out how to tackle this most appropriately.
It's funny you say that because I've been doing a lot of speaking virtually to juniors and seniors in college classes. And one of the questions that continues to come up is, and I think it's really interesting that they're talking about this at school, which is smart, but it continues to come up is there a job for me when I graduate from college? And my answer has been the job that I had when I graduated from college is not the job that you'll have when you graduate from college. Like, you're not going to stand at the copier and make clipbooks. You're not going to
Yep.
open Bacon's books and make media lists. You're probably not going to make media lists at all. You're not going to make clipbooks at all. You're not going to you may not even be pitching media. Like, those things are going to be done by AI. What you are going to be doing is sort of orchestrating or conducting your orchestra of AI bots. So you have to understand, how to prompt accurately, how to give it the right kinds of input so that you get the right output, how to edit its work. Those are the kinds of things that you have to understand. And so when you think about, to your point, what this is going to cost, it may not cost the same as a full-time employee. It may not cost the same as 5 full-time employee, but it's going to cost you something. And that has to be just like you would absorb an employee's salary into your however hourly rates or retainers or however you're doing your pricing. That same thing, the AI needs to be absorbed into that.
Yeah, and I think ultimately, first of all, I would agree with you on the first jobs thing. If I think back to my first job in an agency as a junior account executive, I can't think of more than 5% of my job that I did back then that today would
Yeah,
still be done. And
right.
some of it's because of AI, some of it's just, technology
Sure,
has
sure,
improved. I
sure.
mean,
Yeah,
nobody's standing there at the photocopier. That's nothing to do with AI.
yeah.
But good luck finding a photocopier most of the time, even if you need one. And so those are the kinds of things. Technology has completely replaced a lot of what we did, and AI is just accelerating that even further. So certainly those kinds of jobs are not there, and I think that it's fair to say that a college graduate going to work for the first time in an agency is really going in from a functional level at about a level above where you and I started back in the day. And so fundamentally that means the skill sets are different, right? Because when you're that level up, you are doing more editing than creating. You are doing more guiding than doing. It doesn't mean that you've gone, completely all the way to being just a manager. Not people aren't just going to jump right in and just be managers, right? Let's be realistic here. You do, but the kinds of things that you're doing require a different skill set than what we needed going in, because we weren't doing a lot of editing of other people's work. We weren't doing a lot of guiding and checking and all of that kind of stuff. We had someone else who was doing that to our work. Now you have to know how to do that effectively. And to your point, and it's not just about the prompting, it's understanding what you're getting back and then how to reprompt, how to tweak, how to get the most out of it, how to make sure that it actually makes sense, whatever's come back. Because AI has come a long way in the last year. It doesn't mean that everything that it does should be immediately blasted out to the universe. And that's not just because of factual stuff. It may be just sometimes the tone isn't quite right, or maybe it misses the point slightly because you didn't give it enough information to begin with. And so you need to be able to look at it and have that level of judgment to understand when you need to apply human editing, or when you need to ask the AI to take another stab at it, or to do whatever you need to do to get the quality that the client is expecting. And I think, but it needs to be priced into your total cost of doing business, single invoice, not separate line items for all of this, because I think as soon as you start getting into separate line items for it, you put yourself in a difficult position to adapt as needed. And the reality is that none of us really knows what the innards of an agency in 24 or 36 months is going to look like. We all have pretty good guesses, right? But the reality is we just don't know for sure. And so we can't put ourselves in a box by specifying here's what it costs, or say, hey, we're just going to pass through these costs with a markup, or those kinds of things. It needs to be factored into your cost of doing business. And on that note, I think we've provided some good food for thought, and hopefully you'll be able to think about pricing in perhaps a way that is a little more, rational, thoughtful, and more usable than what the holding companies are currently thinking, or maybe have ever thought. But in any case, I'm Chip Griffin. For myself and Jenny Dietrich, this has been another episode of the Agency Leadership Podcast, and it depends.